A long time since I've done a video. Today is my 2007 Ford Ranger XLT 4x4 4-liter V6. It's a single overhead cam, and I was getting a loud ticking noise. Well, it was more of a knocking, but a very faint knocking. And what it led to be, which I believe was my water pump, which, let's see if I can get it, is down here. I already took the water pump off. Wasn't too bad. My thermostat housing decided to take a crap a couple months ago, so I've just been refilling it with water, doing my own coolant flush as I've been driving it. Yes, I know, kinda sucked, but I didn't have time until now to get to it. And that noise you hear is just air escaping from the openings everywhere. And a lot of people say to take the thermostat housing out from here, you're going to have to take off your intake manifold. However, I did not have to do that. What I did was, because I actually have a cold air intake coming in the mail tomorrow, which I'm very excited for. So I already took the whole intake off, took off the throttle body, pushed that over there, and there's a mount. If you can see it, this mount right here is actually mounting to this bolt. This bolt, took that off so I can just kind of push this over here. This hose gets disconnected. This one gets disconnected from the air intake. It's actually kind of nice because you can't really see it. Let me try and get a light over here. It swivels, so you can just nicely push it up and out of the way, which is perfect. And then the fan, the clutch fan, was kind of a pain to get off because I got the Lono tool from AutoZone, the 5-piece one, hoping, they're going to have the size in there. They didn't. I had to go out and buy a wrench. It's a Crescent, guaranteed forever. It's a 1 7/16. It was slightly big, but it worked. However, I had to grind it down because it was too thick. So I had to grind it down. I was hoping to return it afterwards, knowing I'm never going to need it again. But, yeah. I'm going to keep it now. Because the reason it was too thick is for the clutch fan. All my parts are here. To get this off, there's a nut right here for the fan. And then there's all these little nuts holding the pulley to the water pump. Those little nuts were getting in the way of the wrench and this portion of the wrench, because this portion has to sit like so over the nuts to hold the pulley, and then the big wrench went around that nut where that hole would be to loosen it. So with everything wedged in there, that wrench was too wide, had to grind it down. But I made it work and got it loose. Fan came right off. But what I would suggest doing, I've seen someone else do it, and that's why I did it. When you have this in there, with the fan and everything else, when you take out the two nuts, there's going to be a nut here and a nut over here. Just take out those two nuts, slide a piece of cardboard between this and the radiator, so you don't scratch up your radiator when you go to pop out the fan. Because even as careful as you might be unscrewing the fan, it'll still kind of just fly off there into your radiator. And you don't want your radiator to get nicked up or get a hole in it. Fortunately, I was able to keep the radiator on. I had to take that off either. The only thing I didn't bolt really was this wire here. And this, just to kind of give myself a little bit more leeway for pulling out that thermostat housing. There's also going to be, don't want to blind you guys with the light here, but I want to show you everything. There's this is part of the thermostat housing. Some Rangers do have 2 sensors, temp sensors. I only have 1. I just pulled out the clip very carefully, moved that out of the way, and then there's also going to be 2 hoses that you want to move. This hose, which it comes out of this, goes down here. Just pull this hose off, kind of push out of the way. That'll help a ton as well. Then this hose actually goes to the thermostat housing. So the housing sitting in there, this hose sits on the thermostat housing. You definitely want to move that out of your way. It will help. And where that goes on the housing, I can show you. Here's the housing itself. So the hose sits right on that piece right there. See? Sorry, it's bigger than the hose is because I'm holding it away. But that's the housing, and you can see mine is not so pretty. Reason being is these housings are plastic, or high density plastic, whatever the heck you want to call it. Point being, they're bound to more or less explode. That seam you see there, that's sealed from when they manufacture the piece. It's not supposed to come apart. However, it did. It failed, and next thing I knew, I had a gallon of coolant underneath my truck, which I don't notice because I park on gravel, and it wasn't until I got to work where I park on asphalt and I noticed there was all this coolant under my truck. The only part that is supposed to come off is this top piece here. It wasn't leaking from that, so I knew I had to replace the housing, which it wasn't that bad. I got a new one from Ford with all the seals and everything. It was like $60. No one else I know sells it. I also got the water pump from Ford because it was like $160, $170. Wasn't too bad. But as far as everything, helpful hint wise, just if it looks like it's in your way and you can move it out of your way. It will help a ton, especially if you don't have to take this off. I did get new gaskets for this, expecting to take the intake off, which the gasket is actually 6 O-rings. I don't even want to know how that works, so I'm going to leave it because I don't have to touch it. As far as the old water pump, it was bad. You can maybe kind of hear it. That little knocking noise that you can hear as I shake it, and the loose metal inside there. That is what's most likely was causing my knocking, ticking, whatever you want to call it, noise. When everyone else was telling me, oh, that's your timing chains, and I replaced the tensioners, and don't think it was my timing chains. I'm hoping it's not my timing chains. With 132,000 miles on this truck, I'm definitely just hoping it was the original water pump. So, but once I put the new one on, put everything back in, those will all be nice and new. Hook up all the hoses. There's a hose down here that you're gonna, this one was like melted onto my water pump, not melted, but it really sealed itself onto it. So I had this little Harbor Freight dental tool, as I call it. This guy right here, a little orange handle. They're normally like $2 for a 4-pack. I slipped this into the hose like so from the edge, just to pull it back enough to get a screwdriver in there, and then to get the screwdriver in here and break the seal, and it just came right out, which it literally fell off at that point. The bigger hose down here, sorry if you can't really see it, but down here, this one that my finger's on, that one came off pretty easy. Just had to fight with it just a little bit. Otherwise, everything is pretty good. It comes off easy. I was probably at it for a couple hours, and sorry for the stuttering. It's been a long, tiring day. I've been meaning to do this for a long time, so I mean, I'm just happy I'm getting it done. I'm hoping this tick goes away because I don't want to pay for a new motor or timing chains and quoted at $4 grand for timing chains. Yeah, no thank you. So I guess I will end this video now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead, comment. If you like it, go ahead, like it. If you dislike it, like it. But let me know either in the comment section or just message me, tell me, whatever. I don't care. I'll take it. I get not made fun of, but people tell me things I do wrong all the time. So go ahead, try your worst. But if not, if you really like it, let me know. I'll see you guys on the next video. Talk to you later.